Good morning. We're going to talk about probability today. Now, I'm going to be sending you a PDF that you're going to have linked in your Google Drive. And the PDF is of a section of an old Algebra 1 book, and it's a section on probability. Now, in that book, 16.1 is the section we're going to be working in, and we are going to work with these probabilities. And here's the first thing you need to know. The probability of something happening, let's call it X, is equal to the number of ways X can happen over all possible outcomes. So if you have a six-sided die is a typical die, then there are 6 possible outcomes, okay, and then etc. Now, if we were talking about a 10-sided die, now you don't see those very often unless you play D&D or something like that. A 10-sided die, the chance that you roll a 7, usually that's labeled P for probability, and then getting a 7, so that's the way you'd write it out. The chance you roll a 7 is 1 7 on the die out of 10 possible options. Now, the probability that you roll not a 7, well, how many numbers are not a 7 from 1 through 10? 9 of those numbers are not a 7 out of 10 possible numbers. All right, let's take a look at some other examples. Just going to erase all this. All right, what if we have a 10-sided die and what's the probability of getting a multiple of 3? Well, what multiples of 3 are between 1 and 10? 3, 6, and 9. So it's a total of 3 that can happen out of 10. Now that's a coincidence that this is the 3 and that's a 3. What else? What about an even number? Well, the chances of getting an even number, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, are 5 out of 10, or 1/2. We're not doing percentages, we're just doing the fraction. The last one of these is probability of getting something that's less than a 5. Well, what numbers are less than 5 from 1 through 10? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of 10, or 2/5. All right. What else could we have? We could have a spinner. You've played games with a spinner, probably during this pandemic. So, if you have a spinner and it has sections, make sure you count how many sections there are so you know how many possible options there are. There's that little spinner. And let's say that there are some different colors here. Blue, red, red again, and then yellow. All right, so if those are possible options, what's the probability of ending up on red? Well, assuming all the spaces are even, which we'll have to, then there are 2 red out of 4 possible options, so 1/2. The probability of yellow. Well, there's only 1 yellow space out of 4 possible, so 1/4. What is the probability of green? Now, you say, wait a minute, there's no green up there. Absolutely right. So there's 0 out of 4, or 0 chance that that's going to happen. And finally, not green. Well, how many of these colors are not green? All 4. Out of 4, or 1. 1 is, if you were doing percentages, 1 is actually 100%. Because you do the decimal, but we're not talking percentages, so we don't want to get confused with that. All right, let's take a look at what else we have here, and then we'll get right to the homework. All right, bag. You have a bag with marbles. And there are 5 black, 7 purple, and 3 gold. All right, so if you have that, and the first question is probability of purple. Well, there's 7 purple out of how many total? 5 and 7 and 3, that adds up to 15, so 7 out of 15. What about not gold? Well, what's gold? 3 of them. So that means these 2 are not gold. That's a total of 12 out of 15 that are not gold. So that's 4/5 if you reduce it. And then finally, probability of black. Well, we can see we have 5 black out of 15 total, so that's 1/3. And that's it for this lesson. Check Google Classroom for the problems and the page.